Morning, class. Happy Tuesday. We're going to finish up our social studies chapter 3 today by taking a look at New York City's layers of the past. Walk down any block in New York and you will see people from many backgrounds passing by. The same thing has been true for hundreds of years. How many different groups of people made New York City what it is today? Welcome to Coral's Hook Park, located in the Lower Eastern Side, a neighborhood in New York City. There are children laughing and running in the park today. Listen, and you can hear them speak in Spanish and Chinese as well as English as they play. About 100 years ago, on this very same spot, children also played. Those children spoke Dutch, English, French, German, and Yiddish. I don't know what Yiddish is, but it's a type of language. Some 300 years before that, the children here were American Indians from the Lenape tribe. The children helped their parents to fish, grow crops, or trap animals. Stand in Coral's Hook Park today, and you stand on layers and layers of American history. Each group of people that lived in this place has left its mark. How did they shape the New York City of today? So here is the park that they're talking about, way down here in the tip of Ellis Island. This is called Ellis Island here. It's where the Statue of Liberty is located in New York, and the Hudson River flows in here as well. Now, this part here, over here where you see Central Park of New York, is one of the most famous parks. It's a whole mile long there, and that's on Manhattan Island. This is New York City here, and it's different boroughs as they call it. Okay, meeting of three worlds. The Lenapes met Henry Hudson and his crew of 20 men. The crew of Half Moon wanted to trade for furs that the Lenape had. So these are the people, the Lenape, and this is Henry Hudson. They named this river after him, the Hudson River. Manhattan Island, now part of New York City, was first settled by American Indians more than 10,000 years ago. Thousands of Lenapes lived on the island they called Manhattata, the hilly island. They fished, grew crops, and trapped animals such as beavers. Those beavers would eventually change life on Manhattan forever. In 1609, a Dutch ship, Half Moon, captained by Henry Hudson, sailed into the harbor of Manhattan. The Dutch were looking for a place to settle and for people to trade with. They especially wanted furs, and the Lenapes had lots of furs. A few years later, a free black sailor named Juan Rodriguez, I believe I pronounced that right, who worked with the Dutch, sailed to Manhattan. It was his job to trade Dutch furs with American Indians. He was the first man who wasn't an American Indian to live on Manhattan Island. In 1624, a Dutch fur company sent 30 families to start a colony. Their settlement at the tip of Manhattan Island was named New Amsterdam. The Dutch made changes to the island as they built their new town. They cut down trees, laid out streets, and built homes. As more and more people arrived, three worlds came together. First were American Indians, and then the Dutch. Later, people came from France, Ireland, Great Britain, and other European countries. Africans were part of the story too. In 1644, a visitor to New Amsterdam said that he heard 18 different languages spoken on the streets. It was a diverse town even then. Could you imagine 18 different languages spoken in one place? Sounds like the Tower of Babel of the Bible times. Waves of immigrants come to New York. Since the 1600s, when Dutch first settled there, New York City has attracted immigrants by the millions. In 1664, the English took over New Amsterdam and renamed the city New York. In the late 1800s and early 1900s, most immigrants to the United States came from Europe by ship. They traveled past the Statue of Liberty into New York Harbor and landed on Ellis Island. In the year 1907, more than 1 million new Americans came through Ellis Island. Could you imagine that? In 1 year, 1 million people passed through that island. Many immigrants settled on the lower east side. The neighborhoods around Corliss Hook were crowded with families that had come from Italy and Russia and other parts of Europe. Everyone, even children, worked hard to start a new life in their new country. Many immigrants' families lived in tenements. Now, here's a definition of tenements: a 4 to 6 story building with many small apartments. So it's like a big, huge apartment building. Sometimes 20 families or more lived in one tenement. Each floor had several small apartments and often only one bathroom. The apartments did not have much fresh air or good light. Rats and cockroaches added to the poor living conditions. The Confino family lived in a tenement located at 97th Orchard Street. 10 people lived in their small apartment. Like other families, the Confinos brought their traditions with them. They practiced Judaism. They ate food like those eaten in Greece. They also brought their dreams of the United States. In time, they became Americans. New York City today. The Lower East Side is still crowded. It is still a place where many new Americans first arrive. And it is still a place where you can see signs of the past. An Italian bakery or a Jewish delicatessen reminds New Yorkers of the Lower East Side that Confinos knew. Now we're going to have a story about New York. It's called The Cricket in Times Square. Hopefully you enjoy it. We'll learn a little bit more about New York. Today you hear different languages on the streets. In Little Italy, you once heard Italian everywhere. Now you are more likely to hear Chinese or Spanish as you walk through the neighborhood. In fact, New York City's Chinatown is the largest Chinatown in the United States. The Lower East Side celebrates its history all year long. It has been home to a mix of people since Juan Rodriguez first arrived. People in all groups that have come to New York City have changed the place in some way. Could you imagine going to Chinatown and seeing their parade with these unbelievable, cool, beautiful dragons? And they have all the people underneath it. They hold it up, make it move. In Chinatown, dragons dance in the streets. People come from many places to welcome the Chinese New Year. Guys, today you have no assignment. Tomorrow we'll take the review game to prepare you for your test on Thursday. God bless your day.